Welcome, everyone. We're doing a deep dive today into the recent Bahrain Grand Prix. We've sifted through quite a lot of coverage, actually.
Yeah, loads of it.
Including some really detailed analysis from Motorsports by Alex, and we've tried to pull out the most important takeaways.
The surprising stuff, too.
Exactly. The goal is to figure out what Bahrain really taught us and maybe what it signals for the Saudi Arabian race coming up.
Well, the first thing that jumps out, and our sources really hammer this home, is just how fast Formula One is adapting learning right now. Every track is just a different beast, isn't it? Bahrain, with the heat, that abrasive track surface.
It eased up the tires.
Totally, and more slow corners. It was a very specific kind of test, and pretty revealing, I think.
Okay, let's dive straight in then. McLaren. From the outside, I mean, they just looked unstoppable, didn't they?
They really did seem like a class apart.
Like neither Ferrari, even with Leclerc playing with setups and Hamilton, still getting used to that car.
Right. Hamilton said he learned more in that one race than all the others combined.
Wow. And Mercedes, even with Russell having that strong but maybe slightly overlooked drive Alex mentioned.
Yeah, Russell did well, second place, despite his own issues.
None of them could consistently get near McLaren in Bahrain.
Nope. Leclerc did outqualify Hamilton, sure, and the safety car bunched them up at the end.
Yeah.
But Russell getting P2, even with his DRS acting up and some braking inconsistencies, well, it just highlights how good that McLaren was.
It almost feels like people are already taking their performance for granted, like it's the new benchmark.
That's a good point. It sets a high bar.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Alex, over at Motorsports by Alex, he's basically saying this wasn't just a small gap.
No, he thinks it was fundamental.
Especially on tracks like Bahrain that are hard on the tires. He's even saying this advantage might stick around until, Barcelona?
Yeah, the Spanish Grand Prix. That's his prediction. And even on tracks that are easier on tires, they probably still have an edge, just maybe not quite as big.
So what's the key? Is it just speed?
Well, it seems to be more than that. It's how their car manages the tires, especially with that abrasive surface and the heat in Bahrain. Motorsports by Alex probably goes into the technical side, suspension, aero balance, something that helps preserve those tires. That seems to be the crucial thing here. What really struck you about how dominant they looked?
Well, it just leads to the next thought, doesn't it? Could McLaren's biggest threat actually be internal?
The teammate battle.
Yeah. Norris is leading the championship, we know that, but Piastri, wow, his performances are consistently strong. It's becoming a real narrative.
It really is. Norris is the established guy, the team leader, but you can feel the pressure building.
And Piastri, I mean, if you take Australia out of it, maybe chalk that up to a bit of luck.
Which some sources suggest.
His speed looks genuinely, consistently high. Maybe even quicker sometimes.
It's possible. And the sources point out how calm Piastri seems. Very composed, which is, a bit different from Norris, maybe, who's had moments under pressure in the past.
So the big question is, could this boil over? Could we see, a proper internal fight if they're both genuinely in the championship hunt?
An internal civil war, as some might call it.
Alex compared it to Rosberg and Hamilton at Mercedes.
Yeah.
But he also pointed out key differences.
Right. Mercedes was even more dominant then, and Rosberg and Hamilton had that long history together, which maybe helped manage things. Sort of.
And there's that risk, too, isn't there, that the team starts developing the car in a direction that favors one driver's style.
That's always a danger when you have two drivers this close. It also makes you question McLaren's strategy.
Oh, so?
Well, the article mentioned Japan, where maybe they didn't prioritize Piastri when they could have, possibly costing points.
Suggesting they thought they had enough pace overall to not worry.
Exactly. A confidence perhaps in their advantage. But, with Verstappen still lurking, even if Red Bull struggled in Bahrain, making assumptions like that feels, a bit premature. Risky.
It's a tightrope walk for them.
Definitely.
Okay, let's shift gears. Red Bull. Max Verstappen.
The reigning champ?
Yeah. There have been whispers, haven't there? Mentions of his manager, Vermeulen, and Helmut Marko in the headlines.
Always some intrigue around Red Bull.
But Verstappen himself seems committed, at least for now, short term. What's interesting, though, is that he felt he had to speak out about the car's performance.
Right, suggesting the team perhaps wasn't ready to publicly admit they had issues in Bahrain.
Which fuels that underlying story, doesn't it? The will he, won't he, about Verstappen potentially looking elsewhere. Mercedes keeps coming up.
It's a fascinating dynamic. Is it Max wanting out, or is it Red Bull trying hard to keep him? That balance really shifts his power in negotiations.
And if the Red Bull performance doesn't bounce back strong, does that make him less attractive to other teams?
It could, ironically. Or maybe more desperate to leave. It cuts both ways.
But meanwhile, Mercedes, they're not exactly standing still, are they?
No, Motorsports by Alex notes their slow but steady climb back from that 2022 slump.
And their Bahrain performance, compared to Red Bull at least, suggested, well, maybe a bit of a power shift.
It did look better for them there. Their car seemed to handle Bahrain's challenges surprisingly well, actually, which hasn't always been the case for them.
That improvement definitely makes a potential Mercedes seat look more appealing, you'd think, for someone like Verstappen weighing his options.
Absolutely. A competitive future is key.
So why should we still see Verstappen as a major title threat this year?
Well, the source material makes a solid argument. Bahrain, with that high degradation, was maybe a particularly bad track for the Red Bull, like an outlier.
Okay.
Jeddah is completely different, fast, flowing. That should suit the RB21 much better. We should expect a stronger Max there.
Right, track characteristics.
Plus, Perez seems to be upping his game mostly. Some inconsistencies, but better overall.
And history tells us.
Exactly. Think of Alonso in 2012. That Ferrari wasn't always the fastest, was it? But he dragged it into a title fight right to the end. Skill and determination count for a lot.
So don't write off Verstappen or Red Bull just yet.
Not by a long shot. Bahrain might have just been a blip, a specific challenge they didn't master this time.
Gotcha. Okay, let's move down the grid. The midfield, always chaotic, always changing.
Yeah, the predictions we made before about it being totally fluid, it seems like we were nailing it.
It really highlights how sensitive these cars are to specific tracks. Bahrain showed that up massively.
It really did.
Williams, for instance. They look like they prefer tracks with more slow corners, which Saudi Arabia has, compared to Bahrain, which has more of those faster sections where they seem to struggle.
Yeah, that's a key point. Alex's data probably shows why better mechanical grip, maybe, or braking, something that works in slow stuff.
Yeah.
But less efficient, perhaps, in the fast, aero-dependent corners.
Then you've got Aston Martin. Oof. They had a rough one in Bahrain.
Yeah, disastrous was the word Alex used, I think.
Their slow corner weakness is still there, apparently. But even their usual strength in fast corners seemed off.
Diminished, yeah. And then the Alonso steering wheel thing in practice.
Right. Came loose. Traced to a faulty steering column, they said. Raises little reliability flags.
It does. And Stroll looking totally wiped out after the race. That's unusual as early in the season. Suggests maybe there are bigger issues than just the track not suiting them.
Something to watch. What about Alpine?
Kind of a mixed bag, wasn't it? Still blaming the engine, which is the ongoing story.
Yeah.
But Gasly, he had a great drive. 7th. Could have been 6th without that last lap problem.
Shows the chassis isn't terrible.
Exactly. Which then brings up the driver debate again, Colapinto versus Doohan. But the source warns them, don't make hasty changes, don't repeat past mistakes.
Tricky balance for them, too.
Yeah.
Power unit versus chassis potential versus driver stability.
It is. Lots for them to figure out.
So overall, the midfield just looks like it's going to be a lottery, depending on the circuit.
Pretty much. Lots of variation coming up, I reckon. Motorsports by Alex also mentioned how Soyoter.com's pecking order predictions were actually quite accurate, contrasting that with, say, fan expectations for teams like Aston, which were maybe a bit too high going into Bahrain.
It's tough, isn't it? Reporting factual analysis when fans have such strong loyalties.
It really is.
Yeah.
That tension between the objective data and the passionate fan base is always there in F1 coverage. It's a reminder that hype doesn't always equal reality on track.
Let's talk about the Bahrain race itself, just as a show. What does it tell us?
Well, the tire degradation was key, wasn't it? Compared to Japan, which was very low deg.
Right, Suzuka was quite processional.
Bahrain had much more going on, more overtaking, different strategies playing out. It really puts the focus back on Pirelli and finding that right balance. Enough wear for excitement, but not so much it's just managing constantly.
Yeah, you don't want races that are too controlled, where everyone's just driving to a delta because the tires are so sensitive.
Exactly. That's where Alex threw in that funny idea, the Rosaline technique.
Yeah, basically handicapping the leaders just to spice things up.
Obviously tongue-in-cheek, but it makes the point, how do you guarantee exciting racing naturally? Bahrain seemed, reasonably well balanced on the tire front this time.
But looking ahead, there are already jitters about the 2026 rules, aren't there?
There are. Big changes coming. Alex mentioned that IndyCar race at Long Beach recently.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Apparently, some seemingly small technical tweaks led to a really uneventful race. It's kind of a warning sign.
A cautionary tale that even minor rule changes can have big unintended consequences for the racing spectacle.
Precisely. The 2026 F1 regs are a huge step into the unknown. Everyone's holding their breath a bit.
So the verdict on Bahrain is a race.
Alex seemed pretty balanced. Not an instant classic, maybe.
But still good.
Yeah, definitely engaging, worth watching. Better than Suzuka, for sure. But, F1 fans, they always want more. The expectations are incredibly high.
Always chasing that perfect race.
Always. Which isn't a bad thing, I guess. Keeps the sport pushing.
Okay, let's get into some of those unseen moments. The stuff that doesn't always make the main broadcast.
Yeah, I like these bits. They add color, context.
First up, Lando Norris on the grid. Apparently, he slightly overshot his grid box.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and guess who pointed it out to him?
Let me guess. Verstappen.
Yep, Max flagged it. Luckily for Lando, the rules let you reposition before the lights go out.
Huh. That's great. Shows how switched on Max is, even before the start. And a good rule clarification for viewers.
Then there was some chatter about a McLaren pit stop. Maybe mechanics touching Norris's car illegally.
Yeah, I saw some speculation.
Debunked, apparently.
Yeah.
No evidence of anything wrong. Just paddock rumors, it seems.
Good to clear that up. Easy for things to look odd on camera sometimes.
Inside Red Bull, things seemed a bit strained.
Besides the performance talk.
Yeah. Verstappen looked visibly annoyed with the car's handling in practice. Apparently even deliberately did things to damage his tires out of frustration.
Wow, really? That shows some serious unhappiness with the balance or predictability.
Quite a contrast to the mood around their junior driver, Pepe Marti, winning the F2 race.
Yeah.
Big cheers for him.
Yeah, big contrast. Pressure cooker at the top, celebration further down the ladder, highlights the different pressures.
George Russell's weekend was eventful, too, beyond just finishing second.
The DRS issues, right?
Yeah, opening and closing when it shouldn't have. And apparently a timing glitch briefly put him in Saudi Arabia mid-race.
Haha, that's a new one. Teleportation glitch.
Plus, no onboard footage from his car after lap 47. A bit strange.
Wonder why that was. Makes his P2 finish even more impressive fighting those issues.
And did you see this stuff about Kimi Antonelli?
The cooling jacket.
Yeah, this special jacket he had in the paddock. Got some funny looks and questions from Leclerc and Hamilton.
Ah! That's brilliant. Young gun bringing new tech, even if it's just for cooling. Good paddock chat.
On a more serious note, Sir Jackie Stewart's tribute to his wife, Helen.
Ah, yes. Very moving.
Driving his old Tyrrell, raising money for dementia research, and getting all 20 living world champions to sign a helmet, including Michael Schumacher's signature, facilitated by Corinna.
Just incredible. A really powerful moment for the whole F1 community. Sir Jackie's work is so important.
Definitely. Other quick hits, Williams celebrating Carlos Sainz Sr.'s 63rd birthday.
Nice. And his son had his best qualifying of the year. Good timing.
Alexander Albon was apparently fuming about an FIA decision in qualifying.
Never good to upset the drivers with stewarding calls.
Team 1 Carlos I of Spain was in the paddock. A royal visit. And Alex made some funny comment about weird paddock decorations from the past.
Always interesting who shows up in the paddock. Adds to the glamour, I suppose.
And finally, Alex shared a couple of unseen images. One, playfully showing Lando Norris in his underwear.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Maybe reflecting on the pressure he's now under from Piastri. And the last image was described as Piastri rising, Norris fading.
Ooh, evocative. Really sums up that shifting dynamic we talked about within McLaren. The pressure is definitely on Lando now.
So wrapping up.
Yeah.
We really hope going through all this has given everyone a deeper feel for the Bahrain Grand Prix than just the highlights.
Yeah, beyond the headlines.
There's so much going on, isn't there? Team dynamics, performance shifts, even the off-track stuff. It all adds layers to F1.
Absolutely. Thinking about McLaren, that potential friction, Red Bull's gamble maybe, with Verstappen,
Right.
the midfield constantly shuffling.
What does it all mean for Jeddah? That's the big question now, isn't it?
It is. What do you think, listening to all this? How will it play out next time?
Lots to ponder. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Maybe go back and rewatch Bahrain with some of this in mind, or dig deeper into anything that caught your interest. Until next time.